Hi guys, Marvin here from TechBroll.com, where we do unboxings, reviews, and sexy b-rolls. And today, we're going to take a look at something similar yet somehow different with Fantech's take at the lightweight gaming mouse hype. Today, I'll give you guys a proper look at the new Fantech Hive UX2 lightweight gaming mouse. With that being said, let's get into it. Alright guys, right here I have the packaging for the Fantech Hive UX2, their current latest offering in the gaming mouse category. I'm not going to mention everything around the box as you can obviously see everything here, and I want to make our videos less boring for you guys. But yeah, essentially what's important here is that it is only 74 grams with PMW 3360 sensor and uses the durable Huano switches. At the side of the box, we have a preview of the side of the mouse, and then at the back, we have all the key features of the Fantech Hive UX2 which we're going to tackle in depth later. And then on the other side, we have all the technical specifications of this mouse. Now, let's crack this open and see what comes in the package. Alright, so it is actually a box within a box. So as you can see, we have a large Fantech logo right here with a slogan that basically means no sleeping at all, or in the Filipino language means walang tulugan, guys. Okay, so inside the box, we have a nice carrying case right here. And to be honest, I wasn't really expecting this from Fantech, but yeah, really cool to have this with the package. The quality seems pretty decent with this sort of hard case construction that protects the mouse really well. So again, let's see what comes in the package. Okay, alright, so we actually have a bunch of things here inside. We have some replacement mouse gliders, a user manual, a sticker, and of course the Fantech Hive UX2 gaming mouse itself. As you can see, the carrying case is tailored specifically with the size of the Fantech Hive UX2, providing full support, which is good, but I think you can also fit other mice inside this if you want. Alright, let's take a closer look at the Fantech Hive UX2 gaming mouse. At first look and touch, we can't deny that it looks quite similar to the GPRO wireless, at least in terms of shape, which I don't mind at all since the shape is already tested. But what I like about this is that other than the shape, it is completely different. So on top, we have the left and right mouse clickers, the scroll wheel, a small hexagon-shaped DPI button, and the usual honeycomb holes to minimize the weight of the mouse. However, the diffuser plastic is rather large, but we'll talk about more on that later. It has a nice rough texture and the clickers are quite crispy. Now looking at the side, we have some honeycomb cutouts and the forward and back buttons. And then looking at the back, we can see the ambidextrous profile of the shape with I'd say a medium-sized bump. On the other side, we have more honeycomb holes and the Fantech logo. And then in front, you'll get a better idea about the height of this mouse. So it is relatively short in height, which is good for those who want a shorter bump. And then at the bottom, we have yet another set of honeycomb holes, 4 mouse gliders, some certifications, and the PMW 3360 sensor. And lastly, in terms of cable, it is using paracord material, which is the new standard now. It has cable management strap, a silicone cap, and the overall feel of the cable is pretty good. In fact, very good as it is super flexible. Later, we'll test this out properly. So yeah, overall, my first impressions about the Fantech Hive UX2 in terms of design, construction, and of course weight is pretty decent. Alright, so after a few days of testing, let's discuss my thoughts about the new Fantech Hive UX2. Let's start with the build quality. One of the few downsides of this kind of design, not only for this particular mouse, is that it has the tendency of having some squeaking sounds due to the nature of the design and the overall construction. As for the Fantech Hive UX2, it definitely has some squeaking sounds when you press hard around the mouse using both of your hands if you really want to stress it. But here's the thing guys, you won't really experience this with regular use even on intense gaming. Like for example, this cloud clicking sound on the right side. Trust me when I say that you cannot trigger this using your ring and pinky finger alone, and even with the help of your thumb. So basically, it's not even an issue unless you specifically squeeze the mouse using 2 hands or in an unnatural way. But this is still important to note for this review. The Huano switches are pretty decent, crisp with a relatively heavier actuation force compared to Omron switches, but in return, it is known to be much more durable, which is good for gaming as it is the most stressed out part of the mouse. The scroll wheel has a good amount of tactile feedback but suffers a bit when it comes to audible feedback as it has this annoying squeaking or clicking sound, but at least it is stable with a tight click on it. The forward and back buttons are easy to reach, have a good amount of tactile feedback and click, and also have a light actuation force, which I personally prefer for easy activation without having to press harder using your thumb. I also appreciate the design decision here leaving a solid space at the center for your thumb to comfortably sit without getting annoyed with the holes. The same goes for the other side for your ring finger. Unfortunately, your pinky finger has to endure those holes. As for the shape, like I said, it resembles the popular shape of the GPRO wireless and is already tested by a lot of gamers as comfortable and good for gaming. So it's inevitable that other brands like Fantech utilize the same shape but with their own take for the design like what we have here with the Fantech Hive UX2. Alright, so here's my hand side by side with the Fantech Hive UX2 for your reference. In my opinion, this is suitable for palm grip users as it has this nice comfortable shape and relatively short bump that allows the hand to completely grasp the entire mouse. And the ambidextrous shape also helps with that, of course. Fingertip users can also use this as well as claw grip users as you have a decent amount of support for the edge of your palm at the rear end. I think this best suits people with medium-sized hand, but of course, like I always say, comfort will greatly vary depending on the size of your hand and your grip style. Left-handed users can definitely use this mouse, but unfortunately, the forward and back buttons are only located on the left side. I think brands should start making more ambidextrous mouse with forward and back buttons on both sides to give some love to left-handed users. Now in terms of the cable, I can honestly say that this is one of the best cable that I've tried on a gaming mouse. It is thin and flexible, making it relatively lighter compared to other gaming mice with a rather thick and stiff paracord cable. So as you can see here, it is super flexible and doesn't move the mouse at all at any angle. The mouse gliders are also quite decent, and I also appreciate the fact that it also has gliders around the sensor. Since the mouse is kinda long, it adds a little bit of stability and smoother glide to it even if you press down hard while gaming. Overall, after using this mouse for a few days of gaming, I now understand why a lot of people like this shape because even with my relatively small and chubby hands, it is absolutely comfortable to game with. Now, just to give you an idea about the shape, here's the TechBroll XO Elite, which basically is the same size as the glorious Model O. As you can see, the Fantech Hive UX2 is a bit smaller than the TechBroll XO Elite. That's why I mentioned earlier that I think it is suitable for medium-sized hands. The bump is almost the same if not taller compared to the TechBroll XO Elite. So yeah, if you have big hands, then the TechBroll XO Elite or glorious Model O should be a better option, but if you have medium-sized hand, then the Fantech Hive UX2 is worth considering. Also, the Fantech Hive UX2 is heavier at 74 grams, and I think that is because of the large LED diffuser. The TechBroll XO Elite is lighter at 69 grams, so that's another thing worth considering. Now in terms of cable, it is night and day, with the Fantech Hive UX2 being the clear winner here, as the TechBroll XO Elite's cable is thick and stiff as you can see here side by side. But in terms of build quality, I'd say they are about the same with some minor issues. And lastly, in terms of sensor, the TechBroll XO Elite has the advantage with a newer PMW3389 sensor, but performance should be about the same, just different DPI range. Speaking of performance, as for my testing playing CSGO for a few days, I'd say the Fantech Hive UX2 is really good. The PMW3360 is decent enough, accurate, and doesn't spin out at all even if I try really hard as you can see on this gameplay. I specifically exaggerated my flicks for testing and it was stable, so I'm really happy with the performance. As for the shape, like I said, it is very comfortable, and I also tried using this mouse with the edge of my palm sitting on top of it for better control, and I'd say the shape definitely helps with better grip and overall stability and control, especially for quick adjustments and lifting off the mouse. Speaking of lifting off, the lift off distance is also adjustable from the software. And speaking of the software, let's talk about that. Alright, so the software, if you watch my review of the TechBroll XO Elite, is almost identical with just different skin. But this is kinda expected already for gaming mouse in the budget category, as most of the time they have pretty much the same manufacturer or OEM source. So yeah. Alright, so inside the software, you can pretty much configure any button to act as a different function, such as different mouse function, key combination, macro, DPI adjustments, multimedia shortcuts, DPI lock, and of course, you can also disable a button entirely. Like for example, if you're left-handed, you can choose to disable the forward and back buttons to not accidentally press them. We also have a macro editor here, save up to 3 profiles, a link to Fantech's official website, and the technical parameters here on the right side. We have the DPI adjustments wherein you can assign different colors per DPI settings, and you can also adjust the DPI values in increments of 100. Next, we have the lighting option, and this is where we can see another downside of the Fantech Hive UX2. As upon testing, I found out that it cannot produce colors accurately, even if it says on the specifications that it can do so up to 16.8 million colors. Maybe it does, but not as accurate as you can see here, especially with lighter colors and non-primary colors like pink and orange and the like. Minor issue in my opinion, but for those who value their RGB, then this might be a deal breaker. And if it is, then come on guys, you know you're better than that. That was a joke guys, don't get triggered please. On the other hand, most of the colors are vibrant and good in a dim environment like this. Moving on, aside from that, we have the mouse parameters, wherein you can configure settings like mouse sensitivity, scrolling speed, double click speed, and of course lift-off distance. And as per my testing, the lift-off distance adjustment is working properly here. With the LOD set at 2mm, it is still tracking using a 1.2mm CD. Then with two 1.2mm CD, it stopped tracking as expected and start tracking again after setting the LOD at 3mm. So this is a good sign that it is working. And lastly, we have the polling rate adjustment right here, and that's about it for the software. Quite basic but useful nonetheless. Alright guys, so to conclude, the shape of the Fantech Hive UX2 is I think one of its strong points, as it is absolutely comfortable with a decent amount of support, good location of contours where it matters most, and has a relatively short bump with a substantial tail at the back. Not to mention that the hexagon holes are nicely placed without interfering with your grip. Build quality is not the best, with a few squeaks here and there, but cannot be triggered by just using the mouse normally, so it is not an issue. The only issue when it comes to the build that affects the quality of experience is with the scroll wheel, with a rather annoying squeaking or clicking sound on it. Other than that, the Huano switches are crispy, the forward and back buttons are easily reachable with lightweight actuation force, and the overall design and build quality is, I'd say, for the most part is pretty decent. The RGB lighting is not perfect with poor color production, but if you'll ask me if the LEDs heat up the mouse, no it doesn't, so don't worry about that. And lastly, the software, although quite basic, is useful especially for setting up the lift-off distance since it doesn't have a physical button for that. And at the end of the day, overall in terms of pure performance and comfort, the Fantech Hive UX2 is definitely worth considering. And there you have it guys, thank you for watching. Make sure to check the full article link below. Thanks to Fantech for sending this in, and I also like to point out guys that I really appreciate brands like Fantech, especially their CEO Fandi, as he is always open for improvements when it comes to their products, and I always like supporting brands like that as we all benefit from it at the end of the day. So yeah, thanks to Fantech, you can get this from the link below once it is finally available. Thank you for watching, subscribe if you like this, and see you next time. Have a great day guys.